Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So I have been promising you guys a makeup brush haul video for a very, very long time. And it's been so long that I need to break up this video into basically different categories. So today we're going to be talking about all the Japanese brushes that I have hauled. I want to say it's July, so June, May, April, like over the past three and a half months. A lot of these brushes I haven't even used yet because I have a lot of brushes and I've just been testing a lot of makeup, and when I'm testing makeup, I want to use brushes that I know work. You know, I want to make sure my focus is on the makeup. So anyway, I haven't really been able to kind of focus on the makeup brushes, but I wanted to show you what I purchased from Chikuhodo, Shiseido. I don't think there's any Chikuhodo here. No, so just Chikuhodo, Koyudo, and Shiseido. So if you're interested in seeing what I've purchased over the past few months, then just keep on watching. I purchased these Shiseido brushes off of Nordstrom when they were doing like a price match. I think Macy's maybe was having like a 15% off sale on their beauty. And so Shiseido was included. Nordstrom was doing a price match. So I ordered these off of Nordstrom and I got the powder brush and the blush brush. So I haven't used these, and this is probably more than just 3 or 4 months ago. This is probably closer to like 5 or 6. So anyway, so they come in these plastic pouches and you flip it open and then the brush is inside here. So this is the powder brush. So the shape of these brushes is flat. They're not round, so the ferrule is pinched up at the top. And this is like a black plastic handle. This has a nice kind of like metallic bronzy ferrule here. And these bristles are squirrel hair. They are incredibly, incredibly soft. I think that they may even be Canadian squirrel hair, which is even softer, but I'm not sure. I actually couldn't find that much information on these, official information. I feel like there were some blog posts about, you know, what kind of squirrel hairs Shiseido uses for these brushes. But I can attest to the fact that they feel like minky soft. So I can't wait to try these. I can't believe I've just left them in the box for this long. These are super, super soft. So I'm excited to give this a shot. And then the blush brush, I think, is just kind of like a smaller version of that. But let's take a look. So here is the blush brush. It is not only smaller, but it also looks like it's a little bit more narrow. It doesn't fluff out quite as much as the powder brush, but it's also flat. And the handle's also shorter. Bristles are just as soft. Wow, they're like incredibly, incredibly soft. So this is great if you have a very, very pigmented blush. I would say this is going to lay down just a really light sheer layer of it instead of, you know, putting down too much pigment, because this is so soft. So I'm excited to use these. And then I placed an order off of Visage USA. They are basically like the US store for Chikuhodo brushes. But when you place the order, they then place the order with Chikuhodo in Japan. So the orders take a very, very long time. I want to say definitely like 4 to 6 weeks. Probably between 5 and 6 weeks is when I usually get them, but they have specials all the time. So anything I've purchased from Visage, it's like if you spend a certain amount, maybe $250 or $300, you get like 25% off. It's a really, really good deal, especially if you really kind of want to like dive into Chikuhodo brushes. So I purchased a whole bunch from Visage, and it comes delivered in this box, nothing too fancy, and as you can tell, I haven't gotten a chance to play with any of these. But there are two lines from Chikuhodo that I'm kind of familiar with. The Z line, which has, I believe, mainly squirrel hair, and then there's the GSN line, and so I have a bunch of brushes from both of those lines. So I wanted to kind of branch out a little bit, but I did pick up the GSN-04 brush, which is like a powder blush brush. It is a round ferrule. So here is the GSN-04 brush. And just to compare, this is the Chikuhodo Z1 powder brush. So you can see that it's much smaller in diameter and the bristle length is shorter as well. So I think Chikuhodo calls this their highlighting brush. And this happens to be a mix of goat hairs and squirrel hairs, which I think is a really nice mixture. Goat hairs are a little bit coarser than squirrel hairs. Squirrel hairs are very, very fine, very, very soft. And while that feels great on the skin, it's not always the best hair for products. In fact, it doesn't really pick up any products that are kind of like harder in the pan, like baked products or whatever. And I'm seeing a lot of those products. And goat hair is much better for that. So having this hybrid is actually really nice, especially for a highlight brush, because again, many of the highlights, especially the ones I'm seeing these days, come in that baked formula. They're very powdery, and if you just have squirrel hair, it's very, very difficult to pick up. So I'm excited to give this a shot and see what the result is for highlight. So I also picked up a Chikuhodo Z8 brush, and this is what the Z8 brush looks like. It is their cheek brush, and again, just for comparison's sake, here it is next to the Z1. And this brush is not totally round. It's like more of an oval shape. So the ferrule is pinched slightly. So I think that makes for an interesting cheek brush. That'll be really nice. Gosh, these are really soft. This is definitely all squirrel hair. Feels very minky. And just to hold it up next to the GSN-04 brush, the one that I just showed you, here it is. So the bristles on this one are a little bit longer. There's more of a dome shape to the bristles. And obviously the handle is much shorter on the Z brushes versus the GSN brushes. And then here's where I strayed a little bit because I really wanted to try different lines from Chikuhodo. So I got two brushes from their R series. So I got R-P5 and R-H1. So let's take a look at this P5 brush. This one is a flat top, like mini Kabuki brush. So this is the R-P5. So these are short and densely packed, but the bristles are so super soft. They are gray squirrel hair. And this is going to be really interesting because I really have come to like buffing in my powders, like really buffing them in, especially highlights, like really kind of like burnishing them. So I've been liking smaller buffing brushes, and I had picked one up from Chikuhodo. I think in my last haul I had mentioned it. This is the one that I previously hauled. This is the Chikuhodo. This is actually a large eyeshadow brush, but this is part of their Kokutan collection, and I really liked it, but I really liked how short these bristles were, make it a little bit more dense, and just play around with it. And obviously it's a little bit fatter in terms of diameter. So I thought this would be a really fun one. And I don't believe, and this happens to be duo fiber. So this one is like half squirrel and half synthetic. This one that I just picked up from Chikuhodo is 100% squirrel hair, which you can feel, again, so soft. And I also picked up from the R series R-H1. And the shape of this one just looks really unique. This one is much fluffier and it has this angle. And I thought this would be really cool for blushes or contours or some sort of like light application of powder on your cheek. So again, this is the H1, and this is made out of hair that I've never used before. This is Capra hair, C-A-P-R-A, and I believe it's a goat, but it's a really soft goat. So it's incredibly soft. I don't know much about Capra. I don't know if it's a type of goat or just what they call a certain type of goat hair, but it is, I think, it feels like the squirrel. It feels like the squirrel. Maybe not quite as minky, but it is so soft. Definitely softer than the average, like just straight up goat hair. And then I decided to pick up this big Artist 20-10 brush. I just love the shape of it. I thought it was so interesting. I had never really seen anything like this, so I thought, let me give this a shot. So the bristles on this are also Capra, so this is a very soft goat hair. And I just thought this was really interesting, this brush shape, because it's so round and it kind of like, I don't know, it almost looks like it should kind of like just puff out, but it comes back in and the ferrule is pinched. So, you know, I feel like I have a lot of round ferrule brushes with like a top that looks like this, but not a pinched one. So anyway, I was just really intrigued. And I mean, I think you could use it for any kind of powder product. It feels really nice. And I like how long the bristles are. So you're going to get a really kind of like light dusting of powder. So again, this is the Artist 20-10, and I like this handle. It's not a shiny black, it's like a matte black, and it's nice and sizable, and actually reminds me of like paintbrushes that I used to really like. Let me just hold this up next to another brush just so you have reference. So again, here's the Chikuhodo, the Z1 brush. So you see how it just sort of like, it comes out and then it kind of comes back in. I just think it's so cool. So that was one order from Visage. And again, I think I took advantage of maybe their Memorial Day sale. If you go to visageusa.com, just sign up for their email and they'll send you an email every time they have a sale. And again, they're good. You know, it's like the more you spend, the more you save kind of a deal, which I'm down with. So anyway, let's move on to what I got at CD Japan. So CD Japan is another online retailer. They're shipping, they're Japan-based online retailer. So their shipping is faster. I want to say I get my brushes from them probably within a week and a half, 2 weeks at most. And so I've placed 2 orders with them. The first order, I got a bunch of Chikuhodo brushes, and Chikuhodo just came out with this eyeshadow brush, which was kind of the impetus behind this order. So this is the Z11 I Shadow Brush. And I just wanted to give it a shot because the bristles are very long. It looked very, very fluffy. It is very fluffy. I'm still kind of trying to figure out, I have used this one. I'm still trying to figure out the best use for this brush. Because the bristles are so long, there is not a ton of control. So if you really want to maybe like work a product in, this is not the best one. So this is great just for like kind of laying down some powders. But when I just sort of lay down powder, I tend to use brushes that are flat. I don't use ones that have like a rounded ferrule. So anyway, I'm just trying to figure out where this works in my collection. But let me hold it up next to, what's a good brush to hold it up next to? Here is my Tom Ford number 13 blending brush that I use all the time. So there you can see the bristles are a little bit longer, and the Tom Ford comes up a little bit at the top. It's a little bit, it gets a little bit pointier than this blend brush. So that's the Chikuhodo Z11, and then I decided to pick up a bunch from their T line, and the ferrule and the handle are like matte black, which I think is pretty cool. So let's start with this one. This is the T-6. So these are undyed goat hair, and this is an eyeshadow brush. And I just love like big fluffy eyeshadow brushes if I just need to kind of cover a lot of area. So I haven't used this one yet, but I will. I also picked up T3, and this also is undyed goat hair, but this is the same idea as the other Chikuhodo brush that I picked up. And let's just hold them all up together. So here's the Chikuhodo duo fiber one. Here is the T3. And then here's the R-P5. So this has longer bristles, and it's definitely not as soft as the Squirrel in this R-P5. And then I also picked up the T-7, and this one I have used. This is just a really nice flat shader brush. I'm a big fan of brushes like this. One of my favorite Chikuhodo brushes is a flat shader. So here is one of my all-time favorite Chikuhodo brushes. This is the J5523. Undyed goat hair, and so I thought, let me get this one and kind of compare. This one is much stiffer. I don't know if it's because it's newer, but it's also a little bit smaller. The bristles are shorter. It doesn't seem quite as wide, but it kind of has the same shaping to it. So that's the T7. That is actually it. The other brush that I picked up was actually from a different order. So those are all the Chikuhodo brushes I have picked up over the last couple of months. I also decided to give Koyudo a shot. This is another Japanese foodie house, and I just have never tried anything from there. So I follow CD Japan on Instagram, and they made a post about how the very rare Koyudo Squirrel brushes were available. So I thought, let me do it. Let me just give it a shot. And I've never tried any of these kind of like rare squirrel brushes. So I picked up 2 from their red handle line, and this is red squirrel hair. So I've never used red squirrel hair. It is supposed to be very, very fine, very, very soft. And I have to agree, when you're going like with the hair, it feels like silk, like so slick, so smooth. And I don't think that they have red squirrel hair very often. So it's one of those, like, if you really want it, you got to keep an eye out. And when it's available, you just got to jump on it. So I'm excited I got my hands on these and I haven't used them yet. So I'm excited to give these a shot. And then I picked up 3 white Canadian squirrel hair brushes from Koyudo. So it's basically the small, medium, and large eyeshadow brushes. And these are not quite as silky soft as the red squirrel or even just the regular gray squirrel hair. But I like the firmness. They're definitely much firmer. They are a little bit like rougher at the tips. And I think this will be great for powders that are a little bit harder to pick up and lay down. So again, I haven't tried these brushes yet, but I'm excited to give them a shot. So these are, again, white Canadian squirrel hair. So that's it. That is my Japanese makeup brush haul from the last couple of months. I plan on doing another makeup brush haul. I may actually film it right now if I have time. And that will be like my synthetic brushes, because I've been trying to get a little bit more into synthetic brushes only because, you know, they have their purpose. I usually prefer natural hair brushes, but they're not always the perfect tool for what you need. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. Please give it a thumbs up if you did. Comment down below if you have any questions or if you have any Japanese makeup brushes to recommend to me. I would really love to hear from you. And subscribe if you haven't. I'll see you in my next video.